Oh, let me tell you guys. I just watched an episode of Ben Shapiro for the first time in a long time. It's been like 3 years since I bothered watching any of his stuff. I usually only turn in just to see the conservatard takes during elections. And oh boy, let's get into it. So he decided to open his tiny hat mouth. The chutzpah on this kike, my god. He opens his tiny hat mouth and he dares to talk about relationships. He has some base takes on them, right? Like the staying a virgin until marriage thing, I agree with. Don't harm yourself, but his ideas on modern day relationships are so fundamentally silly. It begs the question, what is he thinking? Like, the man who claims to be all about facts and logics is telling you that you should enter into a contractual obligation with another person in which you're supposed to, then after you enter into this contractual obligation with another person where they can leave at any point in time and take half of your resources, then his solution to the modern problems with the world is to then build stuff for that person to then take from you. Actually brainlet take. Like, let's be clear here about what he's saying. He's saying to enter into a rigged game, like play blackjack where someone can see both your hands and the top card of the deck, and then play the game, and then try and win at the game, and then invest everything into that game. No, Ben. Sorry, buddy. The solution, Kaikpiro, is when the game is rigged, when the game is bad, you don't play the game, so the game dies. When the society is bad and at this state, you simply don't participate in the society, so it dies, and a new game, a new society can come take its place. You don't have to put your energy into the current system. You don't have to waste your time trying to make a society or make a better world for people that, one, despise you, and two, are only after stealing your resources. Like, there is literally 0 point right now to ever get married, period. You have two options, basically, if you're being at all logical about it. You can either, if you're Chattius Maximus, you can sleep around and then, plot and end up alone when you are no longer able to sleep around, right? Or you can sleep around. And both of those options end up with coping with being alone or figuring out how to cope with being alone. At no point does marriage, if you're being logical, ever make sense. Like, at no point can you enter into a contractual obligation with another person where they're allowed to leave at any point in time and take half of your stuff, as well as receive payments for potentially the rest of their life, as well as child support and all the other things. You can't even see the fruits of the relationship. And it's going to happen to the vast majority of men. 88% of marriages end in divorce. 80% of the time the woman initiates the divorce. Like, the solution to the marriage problem is not to get Steven Crowdered. Just factually true. There is no proper solution for the current society. There is nothing that's going to work. The society must die. Like, seeing these conservatards try and push, this nonsense down people's throat just blows my hecking mind, how you could be so fundamentally wrong about the issue. Like, everyone knows what the problem is, that society is dying. And literally no one's willing to accept that societies just should die sometimes. People sometimes die, societies die, video games die, on to the next, Let it go. Accelerate the decline is the best thing you can possibly do. There is no other decent solution if you have two brain cells to rub together, unlike Mr. Shapiro, apparently. Like, I don't understand how, if you're claiming facts and logic, you can then also at the same time enter into these pre-described contractual relationships, and then not only that, but enter into it and then start working extra hard, wasting your time and energy and your precious moments on this planet, all for someone else's benefit. Like, no. Absolutely ridiculous. The reason men aren't participating in society anymore, which is what he talked about in his latest episode, is because there are no rewards for participating in society. Right? Society is not made for men anymore, which is fine. Well, the future is female. Let them run it. Let them figure it out. It's not men's problem. That's what Ben Shapiro doesn't understand. It's perfectly feasible for a man to make enough to live his entire life quite comfortably in like 5 or 10 years of saving up, max. And then he can retire and do whatever he wants. The realistic future is coping with loneliness through artificial intelligence or some other dystopian bullshit. Like, that's just where we're heading. You cannot stop it. It's coming for you, and there's nothing you can do about it, so you might as well prepare for it properly. Trying to keep this dying skeleton of a society flowing is only going to make the inevitable collapse even worse. Make it better for yourself and better for everyone else. Stop trying to, follow this horrible chutzpah-filled advice. Like, I get why Mr. Shapiro in his specific case is advocating for this. Because he's sitting at the top of the pyramid, and he dangles, like the good family life or whatever, and, all the other shit. Who knows who's actually fucking his wife and making his children, by the way, But that's another time for another tale, in my opinion. But, one of them kids probably ain't his, just statistically speaking. Who knows, though? Maybe everything's good. I wish him all the best, But he's just simply wrong on this. It's, by definition, his advice is illogical. The proper situation for when the game is rigged, when the game is dead, is to not play the game. When old school RuneScape starts rigging the game, starts making it a bad game, you stop playing it. You just find something else to play. When the West, as a nation, as an entity, dies, when Judeo-Christian values die, you simply find something else that's more applicable to you. And that something else is realistically a technologically developed future where you're interacting with AI girlfriends. Like, at the end of the day, yes, you eat the bugs, whatever. That's the absolute happiest you're going to be no matter what you do. There is no solution that involves marriage, at least in the future, if you're anywhere at all logical. Like, just period. You cannot ever get into these situations and define these things. Like, you have two abilities as a man, basically, in the current system. If you have the ability to sleep around and you're interested in doing that, you do that. And then if not, you simply don't. There is no, imagine his advice here. Oh yeah, dude, just work this 60 hours a week, break your back so that the single mother with 3 kids will, sleep with you once a year, and then divorce you after 3 years have passed or however long you need for alimony, and then you can pay for, the 3 times you had sex with the rest of your life. No. Literally, in the modern day situation, it makes far more economic sense to just hire a prostitute if you really, really need that physical intimacy. Some guys do. I get it. I'm blessed in the fact that I don't have, super strong emotions where I'm going after and doing the ludities like that. I can control myself just fine. I don't need it. Other people might. And then, another thing he was going on about in this is he was trying to define, natural male toxicity, natural male aggression, and he's referencing this as the need to dominate and all that. That's not what unrestrained male sexuality is. Unrestrained male sexuality is rape, just period. That's what society is trying to prevent, is men forcing themselves on women like it's the wild. That's what happens when, male sexuality is unrestrained. Female sexuality, when it's unrestrained, is hypergamy. Male sexuality, when it's unrestrained, is rape. Now, I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I'm saying what we need to do is we need to restrain both of those concepts. But that's not going to happen. It's long dead. It's too late to put that genie back in the bottle. It's out. We undid 2,000 years of successful building, successful strategy. With our communist revolution, we deconstructed it, boys. And so that's just it. We're at that point now, and there is no hope. There is no chance that the West survives or continues to succeed. If you have 2 brain cells to rub together, your idea is getting out of society, stop contributing, stop paying taxes to pedophiles for the love of Christ. Figure out a way to stop giving the pedophiliacs that run this government your fucking money. And the solution is not, we're going to vote just a little bit harder. If only, the red liar gets in instead of the blue liar. That'll make Charles Schwab not make us eat the bugs, right? Absolutely ridiculous. At the end of the day, it's all pointless. There is no redemption arc here. There is no fixing this. Don't go and build stuff. They're just going to either take it away from you legally, or the wife's going to take it away from you. Someone's going to point a gun at you eventually and take everything you build if you involve other people in it. The solution is, and the solution has to be, you live for yourself and for your own pleasure. And that doesn't mean you have to live hedonistically. You could still live a perfectly fine life alone. You can still live a moral and decent life alone, so work towards doing that. Don't do whatever this horrible boomer conservatard advice tells you to do. For the love of God, figure things out, but this one's just off the mark and illogical. Last time I watched Daily Wire, probably again for a long time. Absolutely zero IQ takes. That's all. Blech.